All right, listeners. Well, I have a great person for you today. A lot of you guys know this guy or his parents, but he's probably one of the most well-known tech software people in the home inspecting industry right now. Aaron Shishilla, how you doing, Aaron?
Oh, that's a great thing to say. I'm one of the most well known for tech and software in the industry. I like hearing that.
I would say that. I would say that. So tell us a little bit about. I know a little bit about you. I actually listened to your podcast with the other one. Yeah, I know you grew up in a home inspector family. I know your
Mhm.
parents, but there are some people out there who don't know who you are. So give us a few, but give us a little background. You grew up in a home inspection family in Florida, right? One of those towns down below. I don't mean to make it like that. Is it Melbourne or somewhere down in there area?
Yeah, Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, like where the Kennedy Space Center is, and like where they launch all the rockets and stuff, the space shuttle program. So that's where I grew up. That's where I was born. And yeah, my parents in 2008, 2009. I mean, my dad was in construction. Started doing insurance inspections in the state of Florida. I was young back then, but when I got into college, I started getting jobs while I was in college just to help pay down some of the cost of going to college. And there was a point in time where I've explained it on other podcasts, but I got punched in the nuts, and luckily I got fired from my job at a grocery
Yeah,
store.
it's a
That's
grocery
the
store or something. Yeah, I heard that.
yeah, that's the only time I've ever gotten fired from a particular job. And my dad at the
Well,
time,
we've
he was
all been
dri
punched in the nuts, maybe metaphorically, but yours was a little more literal. Go ahead.
Yeah, yes, yes. And my dad at the time said, maybe you come work for me. And I guess that was like a huge blessing just because I ended up working hourly as an assistant, just testing outlets, testing windows, doing the interior, and I got my license, became one of the youngest licensed inspectors in the state of Florida. I probably was for a given time. Um, and helped them with their digital marketing just because I was going to the University of Central Florida. I really love computers. I really love marketing. I really love sales, the challenge of it. And yeah, I started helping them, started helping other inspection companies because they're pretty big in the industry. And Wolfpack, my marketing agency now, was co-founded with Austin, another great mind when it comes to marketing for home inspection businesses. And we co-founded this business
He's a
together to
second
where,
generation guy too, right? Austin.
yeah, his dad owns an inspection company over in Tampa. So we were able to meet, and I worked at their company for a little bit too, for about 2 years, and then took this full time.
Okay. Now, are you currently living in Florida? Didn't Austin, is he living in Raleigh? Is that where
Yeah,
I
Austin's up
one
in
time?
Raleigh. So he's working remote. And
Okay.
then which I mean, we're technically all remote with this job,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
our
yeah.
office is in
Even ours
Tampa.
is still, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
you're still in physically in Melbourne or that area, Cocoa Beach area still.
I'm physically in Tampa.
Oh,
I moved
Tampa.
to
Okay.
Tampa when I got the job at Waypoint, which is Austin's dad's inspection company, which it's gone now, like well not gone, but um they're not partaking in Waypoint anymore. So,
Oh,
but that
gotcha.
was 2021 when I left, I think 2022.
Yeah. And Waypoint, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Bob? It was his dad, and then one of his buddies he went to high school with, maybe that they were East Coast, West Coast Waypoint. Am I saying
Yeah,
am I correct in that?
it was Bob Heinz who was the original founder of it, and then it was Austin's uncle Eddie Lay, who um was Bob's brother-in-law who joined
Okay. Okay.
Waypoint, and then yeah, I don't know the relationship with Mark Wall because
Yeah,
Mark
yeah, that's what I was
Wall
thinking
and Bob
about.
Heinz, yeah, they're friends, and so there was like a sister company that wasn't they weren't together or anything, but they were both called Waypoint, and the Waypoint by Mark Wall was in Southeast Florida,
Right.
like by Boca Raton, and yeah, that one was another company, but they eventually merged together, and now they're not together anymore, but.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Did they sell that company or what? What?
Yeah. So Waypoint in Tampa was sold to one of the private equity people.
A launch pad or I mean, I don't know that for sure,
Yeah,
but I know that's one of the.
yeah,
I don't know if that's the right one. Well,
yeah.
cool. Well, I will tell you that Austin, you're smarter than me. Have you ever heard that story about the first millionaire in California? And it's
No.
called Selling the Shovels.
Mm-mm.
Supposedly, this is true. I don't know where, the gold rush in, I guess,
Hmm.
1849, because that's where the 49ers come from. Everybody
Okay.
moved to California the gold was discovered. So they're all,
Yeah.
and apparently, this one guy, like everybody was buying shovels. So well, before it happened, he bought up all the shovels and he sold the shovels.
Hmm.
And he actually became a millionaire before any of the people they were buying the shovels and they had to buy them from him. So, the moral of that story is you make more money by selling the shovels than actually doing the digging. Um, and I don't know, that was I think there's some truth to that, probably a little bit embellished, but anyway, the idea that you can help multiple and home inspectors make more money is a lot more scalable and I mean than just being one home inspector in one market. And I'm not taking a dig at anybody listening to this. That's exactly what I am. But kudos to you
Yeah.
for selling the shovels. Well, but you're also helping people with their business. So with that, what would you say is the biggest mistake that uh, most home inspectors do with their marketing?
Yeah, I think that's a valuable point just going back to earlier. Like with a home inspection company, a lot of companies that I talk to and like one of their common denominator issues is they're tied down to a given particular market, right?
Right,
So you live in, Raleigh, you live in North Carolina, you live in Tampa, you live in Orlando, you live in Phoenix or whatever, and that is the opportunity that you have,
right,
right? So you don't, it's not like a digital marketing agency, like in Wolfpack's case, which you're absolutely correct, where like, yeah, I serve home inspectors and that's our niche, right? But I have the availability to expand beyond that if I can.
right,
If going to your question, the number one mistake that home inspectors make, I think a lot of home inspectors get in their own way about things, to be honest, and they're not in a mindset of I should be asking questions and trying to understand everything that I don't know. A lot of them, not that they have an attitude of like they know everything, but they just get in their own way about things to where they don't open up their mind. So it's not a particular digital marketing mistake or like they don't do their website wrong or they do like yes, they do their SEO wrong or they're doing their advertising wrong. They can make improvements here. But the number one thing I would attribute that to is not like asking the right questions or willing to try something new or change things up a little bit. I work with so many different home inspectors, and I think one of the common denominators I see is like, okay, they want to start this relationship with me and they want to collaborate on, let's say, an advertising campaign, but they start really strong for the first 2 weeks, the first 30 days, and then it kind of goes off the wayside. They stop tracking it, they stop looking at it. And then after 3 months, 6 months, whatever, they're coming to me and they're saying, "Hey, Aaron, yeah, I want to look at this campaign. It's not performing well." I'm like, "Okay, well, we've sent you reports, video reports every month and telling you exactly our recommendations every single month and what we need from you in an email. You have the opportunity to meet with us every single month. You have the opportunity to report your return on investment, add a comment on every single lead, and we're telling you you need to do that. And we haven't received any of that." And I think that it's just this mindset of like, hey, I'm going to hire a marketing agency or I'm going to do whatever, and it's easy, and it's never easy, right? Um, so yeah, if I had to summarize it, it would just be getting in your own way about things, getting boxed in your own head, and not expanding your thinking of like, hey, if I'm looking to grow and scale this business, what questions do I need to be asking? What don't I know?
sure, sure. Well, my next question is kind of a variable question, and so let's go back. I've been doing inspections, and probably a lot of listeners here. I'm an old dude. Um, Mid '90s, late '90s is when I got into it, and
Wow,
back then, yeah, I'm old man. I'm crusty,
I wasn't
but
born.
I walked to school 5 miles both ways uphill in the
Yeah.
snow in the South, and it's 100 degrees here today. But anyway, back then, Man, you just printed up some business cards, some flyers, took some donuts to some offices. You know, you hit a bunch of offices and you were golden, man.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a one man shop, you'd get enough business and, slowly but surely, if you did that today, I'm not saying there wouldn't be any value in it, but certainly not as much because I go to offices still, but not nearly like I used to. And it's a ghost. It's I mean, there's a few off people don't back then. Everybody went to the office almost every day, and they
Yeah.
just don't do that anymore. And obviously, the rise of smartphones and apps and just everybody. I mean, you go to any restaurant, any event, anywhere, and you look around the room, probably half the people are looking at their phones. So
Yeah.
obviously, I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan. One of his things is, you got to be where the eyeballs are, and so what do you think in 2025? How are people finding home inspectors? How are home inspectors getting business? And I mean, is there a breakdown? Because I still think, there may be a generational thing, right? Like,
Mhm.
older, like my parents, used to look in the yellow pages, they may do that. My daughters to find a restaurant look on Instagram. I never thought of my life doing that.
Mhm.
Like I might go to Google and look for a review. So what would you say now? In a home inspection business, 2025. I mean, I feel like it's a couple of different baskets you should be. What's your theory on that? And if you had to guess what percentage of what basket, does that make sense? I know my question's
Yeah, no.
ADD all over the
It,
place.
it makes complete sense. And like you're correct. Like back in the day, even in 2008, like not even the mid 90s, even in 2008, you could walk into these offices, immediately start chatting with people and build connections, and then they'd at least give you a shot, right?
Yeah,
And they'd send you an inspection or whatever. And that's all really, not to say that's all it took, but like that's all it took besides doing a great job. And now
pretty
people aren't in the
much.
office, but it's more competitive now. There's more people going into the office to try and get business from real estate agents. And so real estate agents are a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of people coming to them and trying to cater to them, right? There's so many options that you're not differentiating yourselves when you walk into there with a box of donuts. Everybody kind of does that because it's been talked about so much. And and to your point, social media and the power of phones and how things have changed to everything being online is 100% accurate too. Everybody's eyeballs are to their phones, and not enough of the home inspection community is advertising on these types of devices, right? That's where your primary focus should be in terms of spending your marketing, your advertising budget, whatever kind of percentage or portion of it, even if it's 1%, 2% of your annual revenue. Think about that and then say, okay, I'm going to commit to 1 to 2% of my annual revenue on that. It should be a lot higher, right? But at least commit to something. Um, TikTok, is a funny one because my wife, even, I don't even think about this because my wife's a little bit younger than me. She's 4 years younger than me, but she uses TikTok in order to research
So does
everything.
mine. So does mine.
Everything, man.
Recipes off of it.
Dude, recipes, restaurants, doctor's offices, everything is like off of TikTok. And from my mind, I'm like, no, that's so annoying. Like, I don't know how to use TikTok in that fashion. Like, I don't get it. I don't want to scan through all these videos. I just want to look at some Google reviews and some pictures. That's
Right.
like, my thing. And I'm sure a lot of people could resonate with that. So what that means is, though, is when we talk about a marketing or digital marketing strategy, well, the question arises like, well, where do you spend your dollars?
Right.
And I
Right.
would kind of
100%. That's
reverse
what I'd like
engineer
to know.
this. Yeah, I would reverse engineer this to say, what's our target audience? Where are they finding, right? What are they looking at? And then spending our dollars there and focusing there. There's absolutely going to be Gen Zers, Gen Alphas, or whoever that are finding home inspectors on TikTok. But we know that's not the primary age group of first-time home buyers. But we
Right.
know that it's not a lie that, 40-year-olds or 35-year-olds who are buying their first time home aren't on TikTok and aren't searching. By absolutely, they are, right? I can't deny that. But in terms of where, as a percentage, the biggest group is, I would think right now it's still Google. Now, a lot is changing. Um, I would think right now it is still Google, but there's a lot of power to niching to one particular channel and really leveraging that. However, I'm a big fan that when you find something that's your niche and that's working well for you, great, keep up with that, but start diversifying your eggs and start going into different social media platforms. Start spending, if you're not advertising, spend money on advertising. If you're not focusing on SEO, focus on SEO. If your web design hasn't or it doesn't look great and hasn't been something you've made a focus on it, make a focus on it. There's so many different channels that you can like dive into, but pick one, do it well, and then start diversifying even into like email marketing and SMS marketing. I think a lot of people get hung up on, again, kind of getting in their own way. Well, this is how I've done it. This is what's working for me. Well, great. That's what's working for you now. But in 3 to 5 years, the game's going to change. A
Yeah,
lot of people are advertising
absolutely.
with Google local service ads, and it's already happening to where 3 years ago, Google local service ads was the absolute shit. Easy return on investment. And
Right.
now, depending on your market, it's not an easy return on investment anymore. People can advertise with Google local service ads and they have a tough time, and it takes a lot more work because it's super competitive. Everybody's doing it. If
That's kind of like
everybody's
pay
doing
per
it,
click. If you got in that early, man, it was easy money. And then so many
yeah,
people got in it, it got expensive.
yeah.
Well, Aaron, I got a question for you. You did mention TikTok. So this is something we struggle with. And let's see, I don't want to say any names or anything because I don't want to, I don't want to cease and desist letter or anything like that. But you know,
Oh no.
so let's talk about TikTok for a minute
Okay.
and going viral and stuff like that. And when it
Hmm.
first came out, and I was thinking that's what we want to do. We want to go viral because more views and all that. Now, granted, some of your views, maybe we talked earlier about, you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, or you're in Tampa. I mean, it's great that somebody in Seattle is watching my video, but they're not going to be
Yeah.
hiring me to do a home inspection. you know.
Yeah.
Now, great if I get enough people watching me, I can get brand deals. I mean, my daughter actually is a food influencer, believe it or not. Check her out, Sarah Margaret Eats. But
Really?
for a local brick and mortar business, that yeah, Sarah Margaret Eats. That's her handle. She does food reviews. Yeah, she gets paid to eat, man. Good dig, good gig. But here's where I'm going with this. The things that seem to go more viral, it's no secret, they're a little bit more dramatic, right? I mean, ask yourself, and again, I'm not going to say a name here, but there was even before this, there was a TV show, right? There was actually two. There was one that was what was it, Home Detective, Steve Ramos. That actually wasn't too bad. I mean, as far as like more realistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then some came along. Oh my God, every house, blah, 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 blah. And I even thought about doing a reality show one time. And I did some research, and this was like 10 years ago. And it was going to cost like 6 grand a day to get all those people out there, the film,
Hmm.
the boom mic, and all that stuff. And then you start thinking to yourself, well, if we just go inspect a normal house and not too much happens, that's kind of a waste of money because there's no drama. I mean, nobody's going to read a book or follow something that there's no plot to,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to get this out and word this. You probably know where I'm going with this, but and I talked to some of these folks. Basically, there has to be drama in everyone, but in real life home inspectors, there's not that much drama. I mean, there is drama, but not that much. And I suspect, and I talked, there's some that get brand deals and stuff, and that's good and great, but then they're really not wanting to be used in their own market because people think that they're going to bring drama to a deal, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So here's my dilemma. You try to go viral, and that's great, but in our business, which is kind of crazy, unlike other business, we kind of have our client is the people buying the house, but usually we market to the realtors. It's a unique dynamic.
Hmm.
If we were air conditioning or plumbing, we'd probably just be going direct to the public. But the problem is, people only buy a house every 5 years, so we go to the realtor. I've talked too much. This is your interview, but where I'm going with this is I struggle with what you're feeling on TikTok. Do you just go? If you go lean in too much to the thing, are you going to piss off your local market? Did
Yeah.
I have ADD? Do you sort of understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're asking. And I definitely see the value and creating some drama and getting some attention. And, there's obviously that saying of like any form of attention is good
Yeah,
for marketing, right?
yeah,
But I do think that there is a line that you have to kind of walk and tread carefully. Do I think in terms of the other people that are currently doing it on TikTok or whatever, do I think that they crossed that particular line? Well, yeah, maybe. But if you look at some of the comments on those, they're overwhelmingly supportive in terms
yeah,
of
true. And I'm
homeowners
not throwing
with
shade on them.
respect.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
Yeah,
not throwing shade.
I don't think anybody should be throwing shade to them because I mean
And the fact that
that's
they
their
have the
game, that's
following
their
they
market.
have, I mean that's impressive. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, if that's what they want to do, I mean, that's what they want to do. I don't think it particularly matters in terms of what they're doing for the industry or whatever. Again, I think they can do whatever they want. Nobody needs to throw shade at anybody for that. But and if I was a particular brand or if I was a home inspector now and I was doing TikTok, I would definitely create dramatic videos for sure. Would I make that in my entire personality and every single video would be that? No. I think I would be sharing a lot of different things, but I would definitely leverage, hey, I'm going to this particular house, and maybe it was a new construction, maybe it's an older house, and it had this extreme foundational issues. Maybe this new construction house, they're missing. It was the final inspection. They're missing the flashing boot because we know all the times you go to a new construction and they're missing insulation or they're missing a flashing boot or whatever on the particular property, and you're like, yep, that this is gonna leak immediately, and this is a new construction house. Yeah, there's a reason to dramatize that, and because
well,
that
that's
shouldn't
what I was going to
happen.
say. That issue that you just said, you could present that in one or two ways. You know what I mean? You could make it like, oh my God, this builder's ripping people off. Can you
Yep.
believe this? Or it could be like, hey, this is this is something that we find that needs to be fixed. It's fairly common, but it needs to be. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
I don't
I
know.
think
There's like minimalizing it and maximizing it, and I think me personally, I guess it's a personal choice. It's somewhere in the middle.
it is somewhere in the middle, and I think it depends on the circumstance and the situation too. Because obviously, if you're inspecting a particular property, and let's just say it's a particular builder, and you know that they consistently have this particular issue, you might want to dramatize it a little bit more, but you obviously have to tread carefully because you have this builder that might be looking at your particular videos if it goes viral and get really upset with you, right? And so as an inspector, where do you draw that particular line? Do you make it super dramatic and cater to the homeowner and the buyers, or do you play the middle ground to like, hey, no, totally understand because you're having tons of crews out on this job. It's impossible to you, we it's impossible to do all this building and make every single one perfect, by this particular deadline, right? It's okay that we're coming out there to check behind their work as a third party and say, hey, don't forget you got to put this flashing boot back on because there was an issue with the manufacturer on the original one, which is why it was never installed in the first place,
Right.
right?
I
Because it,
fall in
it
the
could be
middle.
that simple thing. Yeah.
I fall in the middle, not like, oh my God, person's ripping people off. It's perfect. I'm more like, hey, this could certainly be an issue. This is why you have a home inspection to point things out like this. And in the past, this builder has fixed it right away. No big
Mhm.
deal. So I don't know, but I got 4,000 followers and people got millions of followers. So obviously, and I'm not. Believe me, I hope anybody listen to this, and then to those folks out there who are killing it. I'm not throwing shade on you, man. I mean, I guess that's just I just struggle with it personally because we do it, and it's like I kind of know how we could get more views, but I don't know if I'm comfortable. My personal does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I mean, dramatizing anything on social media gets more attention, whether it's good or bad, and there's definitely going to be haters of that. I could say for my own personal social media, like the one that is on my own TikTok, my own personal TikTok, I got one particular video. It didn't get a million views. It got 600, 700,000 views and like probably 50,000 likes or something like that. And I was dramatizing what happens during a hurricane, like prep in Florida, where you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of case of beer and you buy like a pack of water and then that's it because you throw a hurricane party. And that's not actually what I do. But
Yeah,
I just dramatize that I grab beer and alcohol. Everybody grabs alcohol when you go and prep for a
Yeah, but
hurricane.
that was funny, right? It was a funny one, wasn't it? I
It
mean,
was funny. It
if it's
was
an
funny.
obvious spoof, then it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not, And believe me, I got TikToks out there where I'm, pretending to be the buyer's dad, and I mean, they're
Well,
not
maybe
serious
that's
at all.
it. Maybe that's it, is you don't dramatize the flashing boots because it's missing, but you make a spoof of it. And
Yeah,
you over dramatic, you make
but
it
it's
over
obvious. It's
dramatic.
an obvious spoof. I mean, nobody's
Yeah.
like, people know. It's like Mad Magazine. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's an
No.
obvious parody or something. But anyway. Well, what would you say, and I have these conversations with, inspectors of all age, and obviously, there's a generational thing we talked about, like, depending on your age, but some of that is surprising. Like you said, I mean, my wife and her sister are on TikTok all the time, and they're not the demographic. My wife's my age. I will not say her age because she'll kill me, but it is not the demographic that you would think, mom with grown children would be on TikTok, but she is. But
Yeah.
what do you think, like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then like Google Ads? Like, I feel like you need to be doing all of them. But if you only had a limited amount of time, where would you focus your most energy to if on social media?
If it was social media, I would definitely be running advertising. Google local service ads and Google search ads or some forms of advertising. Like, it's not to say it's easy to do, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like pretty easy to do because you just need to, once you set it up the first time, you can check on it every week, right? Um, After that, you can just make sure you're closing the good calls and tracking your return on investment. But in terms of social media, that becomes a lot more difficult. It takes a lot more energy. You have to do it daily, right? To be consistent and to be well at it. If I were to choose one particular one, I would choose the one that you as a person are most comfortable with. And in the home inspection world, that's going to be Facebook. Most people are apt to Facebook, but there's nothing wrong with that. What you're going to
Yeah.
find on Facebook is going to be primarily targeting real estate agents. So I would create a Facebook profile and make it a creator profile. And if you don't know what a creator profile is, it's just making your profile public and get the verified badge, pay for that. Make it look really professional. Use a nice headshot. Don't use your logo as your profile picture. Use a nice headshot. Make a nice cover photo. You can look at mine and kind of steal some for inspiration, or you could look at some of the bigger ones and steal for inspiration there as well. But I'd be following all the real estate agents or friend requesting all the real estate agents in my local area. I'd be posting personal stuff, but I'd also be posting professional stuff. If you got kids and you're okay with posting things about your kids or whatever, you're out at a restaurant, what you're doing on the weekend, you're going out boating or whatever it is, fishing, whatever it is, post that stuff. But also during the week time, it's a Monday at 8 a.m., 8:30. I'm going out to do an inspection. I'm going to film some stuff at the particular inspection, add it to my story. And you're just going to be consistent with it. I don't want to say you need to be addicted, but you need to check in on like that particular social media platform consistently. A lot of people I think get trapped into like, oh, I'm going to do TikTok because that's what all the cool people are doing. Don't do TikTok if you're not going to stick with it because you're never going to do it really well. Stick with the one that you're going to get ingrained to because there's more power to doing that one really well rather than trying to spread everything out.
Cool. I want to add to your answer. All right. So if I ask myself that same question, and this is just a theory, I don't have anything to back it up, just life experience. All right, if it's a generational thing, kind of, where 20s are on this or 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s,
Hmm.
60s, or, this, for me personally, if I only, I mean, I want to market to all of them because everybody who's even the younger, they're going to buy the first house and then they're going to. But to me, it's like 30s and 40s would probably be the prime spot because here's my thinking behind that. Kids, they're gonna when you're having kids because I went through this myself. We got to have a bigger house. We
Hmm.
got kids now. We got another kid, and we got to move into a better school zone. Blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, kids go off to college. Do we need all this square footage? Let's say to me, it's you're more active in buying and selling houses in your 30s and 40s. That's just
Yeah.
my theory. Because of the kids, school, and then kids leaving. There's like to
Yeah.
me, there's like an arc. It's like you started. It happened with us. Now I don't know. Small house, a little bit bigger house, a little bit bigger house. Oh, kids go off to college. Now we're like, man, I don't. I'm tired of heating and cooling all this. I don't. We don't need it. Now let's
Yeah.
go back down. So I don't know. Whatever. Where are those eyeballs? I guess is the question I'm asking. And right now, for me personally, I think it's Facebook still. I don't know. I could be wrong, but there are a lot of like my wife is on TikTok, so I don't know. What do
Hmm.
you think?
It's still primarily Facebook. And I would stick with Facebook just because almost everybody's on Facebook consistently, the majority of the time. Instagram and TikTok, not to say that they're not on those platforms because they are, right? But what I would struggle with is one, TikTok and its issues of getting banned. Like I'd be careful of doing that because if you get too involved with that and that's the only thing that you do, and then it gets banned 6 months from now, you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah,
You know, Instagram, same kind of deal to where you can definitely get involved with Instagram and still have the great reach. The two most popular platforms right now are Facebook, then Instagram. And then I want to say the third one is, if you would count it as a social media, would be YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, at one point, it was the second largest search engine, wasn't it? I
yeah, I
think.
believe it still is, but obviously with these AI models now, we don't know if we're counting those as search engines because I would imagine those are going to bypass, if they haven't already, YouTube, but also bypass Google itself.
Cool. Let me. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate you listening to the podcast. I hope you're getting value out of it. I'm sponsoring, I guess, myself. I'm not really selling anything, but hey man, I thought I'd just tell you about I do a little art on the side, PrestonSandlin.com. Check it out if you got some time. Kind of do some cool looking stuff, I think, but I understand that art is subjective. Also, I'll follow you back if you follow me on TikTok. I'm Inspector Crazy Pants. I'm Inspector Crazy Pants on Instagram. We have two on Instagram: Inspector Crazy Pants and Home Inspection Carolina. We are also, Home Inspection Carolina on Facebook, and you can check out our website, homeinspectioncarolina.com. But you guys follow me, I'll follow you back. Comment, I'll try to comment back. I think it helps everybody's algorithm. So without further ado, I'll let you get back to the podcast. I just want to say I appreciate you listening, and hopefully we'll see each other sometime at a conference. Thanks a lot. Let me switch gears a minute, Aaron. Websites. Do you? I know you guys give advice and stuff. Now, do y'all build websites for home
Mhm.
inspectors as well?
Yeah.
What's the most common mistake you think that most home inspectors make? Like when you take them on, like when you take a look at their website, whatever. I mean, I'm sure you could name a lot, but top three or whatever.
I think there's two main issues, and it's not even necessarily like a problem because if you're just starting out, it's okay. Anything is better than nothing,
Right.
right? But if I had to say some issues, the first one would be doing it yourself when you need a more polished look. So there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself if you're limited on finances and maybe it's just you, right? And you're not like you're trying to get your business going and everything, but at some point stop trying to do it yourself, and thinking that you're doing a decent job, because there's a lot of inspectors I talk to and they show me their website and they're just like, yeah, I did it myself, I think it's halfway decent. I'm just like, man, no, like I think it's hurting you at this particular stage because you're looking to grow. The second thing is, a lot of times they sign up for websites, and when they sign up for a particular website, they pay monthly for it, which is okay, but they don't read the fine print on wherever they're at, or whatever agency that works with them, that, hey, you're actually just renting the design, and that you don't own the design. So I would be careful of that because your website is an asset. So the domain is super, super important. That's your business asset. That's what's going to grow your authority over time on Google when we're talking about SEO or search engine optimization. And the web design goes along with that. You need to own it. There's nothing wrong with saying like, hey, you're going to pay monthly for a web design because you don't want to pay a lump sum fee. You're going to pay it over time to where you eventually buy it out. But I would just be very cautious about that and making sure you own everything, because I've seen a lot of that come over to Wolfpack and they don't actually own the design. And I'm like, man, that really sucks for you because I want to be able to transfer the site over to our hosting and for you to be good. But If you don't legally own it, then we can't just transfer it over. I think if there was a third thing, I'd be careful with some of these builders out there. I'm personally like I'm really into the digital marketing world. I personally don't like builders like Squarespace or Wix or like GoDaddy. I think that they have really low prices and then they nickel and dime you for everything, especially GoDaddy, to where it ends up being high cost when they want to sell you on all these add-ons like security and like,
Oh yeah.
HTTPS and this SEO stuff. And then you end up paying a couple $100s a month when you can work with an agency and it gets all included for, $60 a month or something like that, right? And it's just quite frankly, I think like a scam. But not only is that like an issue with all the add-ons that they try to prompt you with that you don't know you need or what's actually worth it, but you're tied into their ecosystem. Kind of like a Shopify. If you were think of like everybody kind of knows about Shopify websites and like selling
Right.
stuff on Shopify. I think Shopify websites are great. I think the product and everything is great. But what happens if you need to take a website off of Shopify? You can't. Like there's no way you could just transfer it out. So I'm a big fan of WordPress sites just because
I was gonna
those are
ask you that.
so like modular, like you
I was
own
gonna ask that.
everything. You can take it anywhere. Um, Compared to something like a Wix or a Squarespace, like you're forever ingrained into Wix or Squarespace or GoDaddy.
Well, you answered the question. My next question I was going to ask you because there's like Dreamweaver, and I mean, I think
Yeah.
back in the day it was like the Wild Wild West. Like I took a class. There's all these different things you could Linux or whatever. I don't know all this stuff. I never even. But it seemed like WordPress was kind of the winner as far as like ease of use, SEO. And correct me if I'm wrong. You know more about this than me. Um, SEO, being able to wreck the spider, the search engines, and all that. So, to talk, if you don't mind, just a little bit about WordPress. That seems to be the themes, and in there two different ones. There's like one where you own it.org or something, and then the other one or something. Can you talk to that for a second?
Yeah, yeah. If you go to WordPress.com or WordPress.org, you can sign up with WordPress. Don't do it that way. WordPress itself is actually like it's an open source
Collective,
software
yeah,
platform.
yeah,
Yeah. And so like a ton of people are working on that. It's not owned by, say, a private company like a Wix or Squarespace or GoDaddy. And what happens is you need to download their software and then use their software on your website install. It gets a little bit technical, right? But essentially purchase your domain to where you actually own the domain, homeinspectioncarolina.com, whatever it is, right? And then you're going to install WordPress on the back end of your site. So it's a way to manage your site. Um, Over 50% of websites nowadays are built with WordPress. So it's the primary driver in terms of the online world nowadays. Most people manage their websites through a WordPress site. And it's a way to just, you have this structure of like, these are my pages, these are my blogs, and then you install what's called a theme. So there's tons of themes that you can choose from. That theme is like how your website looks, right? The customization of that site. So you choose a theme and you purchase that theme separately. Maybe it's like $50. You add that to the site, and then you can customize the site however which way you want. Outside of the theme, once you pick a theme, you can add plugins. Plugins are
yeah.
like Google Chrome extensions to where you can customize it even further to what your theme can't do. So a lot of plugins are like everybody's probably heard of a plugin called Yoast, which is a way to
Mhm.
optimize every page and every post on your website for SEO purposes. That's the core of WordPress. Again, over 50% of sites nowadays are built with WordPress. It's one of the most trusted names when it comes to managing a website now.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, and I want to be mindful of time. We got a little bit more time here, but there's so many questions I want to ask you. Um, Three things that home inspectors could do, or their web person or Wolfpack, if they hired you, um, could do to increase their SEO. It's SEO, search engine optimization. Obviously, you want,
Hmm.
if you type in home inspection, whatever your city is, there's the
Hmm.
paid search, but then there's the organic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're talking about the organic. What three things could people do to increase their optimization?
Yeah. The first thing that I would recommend doing, and it's going to depend on what you're built on, whether it's Wix, Squarespace, or WordPress. I'll speak to WordPress because most people are going to have a WordPress website. Make sure you have a particular plugin. Yoast is going to be the most user friendly. So download Yoast,
I'm writing
install
it
it.
down.
After you have Yoast, Yoast has the capability to automatically create a sitemap. And the sitemap is automatically going to be created at like if your domain is homeinspectioncarolina.com, you can do /sitemap dot XML. That is automatically going to generate what's called a sitemap or list all the different pages that your website has in one nice little format. What you do is you take that URL and you go to Google Search Console, and you just Google Search Console. You sign up with an account on Google Search Console and you submit your sitemap to Google Search Console. When you do that and you go through the onboarding process of Google Search Console, that'll tell you everything you need to do. It'll crawl your site, it'll look at every single page and tell you all of the issues. It's going to look a little bit technical. It's going to take some time getting used to, absolutely. But if there was anything I could say in a short amount of time of what you should do, obviously, I think the first thing that you need to do is just make sure you can get a sitemap, sign up with an account with Google Search Console, upload it, because that will make sure Google can crawl your site. And then any technical issues that Google finds, it'll show in that dashboard. I can't go into everything on how to fix every
Yeah,
single
sure.
issue, but at that point, you can kind of get started with everything. The main issue that I don't want people to run into is they try to do their own SEO, but then realize Google can't even crawl their site because
Yeah.
you can focus so much on like, oh, I need to optimize this page for a particular keyword. But if you didn't create a sitemap and you're not even sure Google can crawl your site because you can turn that off, or that there's a lot of settings that people don't know is turned on to where you limit Google from crawling your site. Um, so it's a simple thing like a checkbox a lot of times. If you don't have that done, then nothing else matters.
I had a question for you. I think Google has rooted this out, but in the early days, I heard there were like a lot of what they call black hat things you
Hmm.
could do, but Google got smart. Like people would put keywords like all over their page and make the font like white or something. So you couldn't see it or something like that. I heard of that. Link farms where you just go and have your link backlinks all over the place. But correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like anything you do to cheat Google, they'll figure it out and you'll get punished for it. What would you agree with that?
Yeah,
If
I
it's
think
not like a legit, it seems like I've seen people get punished for it.
there's definitely strategies you can implement that will game the system and work, right? But
For a
at some point
while.
it's not. Yeah, at some point it's not. And I've seen companies get burned. And so I advise against it just because you don't know when that update's coming. You don't know when they're going to figure it out, right? You know, a lot of people might purchase backlinks and be like, well, you need more backlinks and you can purchase this or whatever to get more backlinks. Anything that is saying anything about like we're going to get you this many backlinks or whatever, and you're buying money for backlinks or whatever, it's just not a good idea to go
Well, if
down
you're
that
getting a
particular path.
backlink off of, you know, some Ray-Ban counterfeit Ray-Ban site or something that's not
Yeah.
related to your, it's going to be. I'm I'm maybe a little bit above my pay grade here, but I feel like it's true.
No, it's true.
Quickly, let's touch on one thing. I think that, back 10, 15 years ago, we never even talked about this at all, but it's becoming a thing. CRMs. How important are CRMs? And what do you guys offer with what you guys do? And it's
Ser
contact something management. It's basically, oh, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
yeah. CRM is customer relationship
Yes.
management
Thank you. Thank
or
you.
manager. In a home inspection world, I don't think enough home inspectors or like small businesses in general understand the importance of a CRM and how impactful it really is when you actually do it well. A lot of home inspectors, what's first and what's considered their CRM is their scheduling software, whether it's, this ISN or a Spectora or any of these other platforms or whatever that is, their scheduling software. Those are good for scheduling inspections and managing the transaction. That's all it's good for, right? But as a home inspector or as a business in general, you need some type of database that can manage all of your contacts and can automatically filter between your actual clients, your buyers, your sellers, your buyer's agents, your listing agents. All of those are so, so powerful to be able to leverage in your marketing and sales process. So for our CRM, for example, we integrate with the scheduling software to where it automatically pulls all of those contacts over to an actual professional CRM. We're partners with primarily Active Campaign and HubSpot, which
Yeah,
you can look
that's
up.
what
We've
we
looked,
use, and we use you guys.
yeah, yeah. And then we've worked with some companies around Zoho. There's a lot of people going to Go High Level. I hate Go High Level. I don't want to go on a huge rant with them, but I could go on a huge rant with Go High Level. Um, HubSpot's going to be more of like a polished CRM with a ton of capabilities and a ton of features, but it's easy to get so overwhelmed by these different CRMs. Active Campaign is going to be more one that's cost effective, easier user interface, and your critical features that you're going to need. But the importance and where it comes from is once you have the kind of knowledge of how to use a CRM, or even like a little bit of my brain of the marketing brain or the marketing itch, you can then leverage all of those contacts and those relationships you've built in order to squeeze as much value as you can from them. So for buyer's agents, there's no reason we shouldn't be continuously staying top of mind with our buyer's agents. The same thing with the listing agents. The client, right? There's no reason why you should just set and forget a client. The client, there's so much value. Not only do they purchase a house on average every 7 years, right? But there's tons of other inspection types that you can go to sell to them. A lot of states have insurance inspections, fortified home inspections to where you can do that as an ancillary, mold inspections, radon, well. A lot of people are offering now annual inspections or maintenance types inspections. And there's so many different opportunities for you to actually get more revenue
Or
to
pest
where
control or something like
pest
that. If you get
control, yeah, absolutely starting other types of businesses, but not even that, just staying in home inspection world, the amount of value you can get from it is just not even tenfold. It's like 100 times more if you do it right,
oh
and
yeah.
actually utilize it as your centralized place.
Well, 100%. You like if you've inspected somebody's house and had a great relationship with them, they liked your services, there's a lot of goodwill right there. And these people are going to need other things down the road.
Hmm.
And you've established a relationship, they know, like, and trust you. If there's some way, I mean, there's value there that a lot of us just leave on the table, and myself included. And I think a CRM and Wolfpack can help you, pull some of that value out that I think a lot of us leave on the table.
Yeah,
But I
I
do
mean,
I do have another question too,
yeah.
and I know we're getting close to time here. We can't I can't have an interview with a tech guy without talking about AI. It is certainly the shiny object. How do you see AI in the home inspection world? I see it everywhere now. How do you I mean, nobody can predict the future, but where I would think you would have a little bit more of a view of it, a little bit more advanced than someone like me because I'm old. what
Mhm.
How do you see AI changing? How can we use it? How can we take advantage of it? And I feel like there's two areas. Well, actually, three. Every service business has three parts. I don't care what the service business is. There's the technical part, doing the stuff, doing the inspection, putting the air conditioner in, fixing the plumbing, whatever. There's the marketing, growth, whatever you want to call it, and there's the admin. There's the
Mhm.
admin slash I put scheduling, billing, invoicing, all that, and the marketing. How do you see AI? I'm trying to figure out how to word this question. How do you see AI affecting those areas and making it better, more efficient, that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's three parts: servicing, growth, and operations. So
Right.
on the servicing side, and let's back up for a minute.
And that's
AI,
every service company. That's not just home
yeah,
inspection. That's
yeah.
every. If you don't make something and sell it, i.e., manufacturing, you don't sell goods, you sell services. There's three parts.
Hmm. So AI, let's start with this, is on some type of software. You have to have the software in order to use the AI. So let's think about the servicing side. There's two parts to the servicing side. There's the scheduling software that has all the details, which you could classify as a little bit of operations. But there's your report writer. That is the primary driver when it comes to the servicing side, where you're actually going out in the field and that is the software you use. You could leverage ChatGPT, but there's a lot of power into having one encompassing particular software. So the issue that home inspectors are faced right now is you are reliant on the report writer to maximize your efficiency at the end of the inspection or your effectiveness. So AI, in terms of how you're using it, falls in my mind two buckets: being more efficient and being more effective, doing a better job and doing it fast. So right now, if you were to just have like ChatGPT on your phone as an app, you could be more efficient and effective in a few areas, but primarily most people are going to stick with the report writer and stay on app because they have all their templates built out. So we're relying on the scheduling softwares and the report writers to implement AI within their technology in order to use it on the servicing side. On the growth side and the marketing side, I wrote an entire presentation. I've done it tons of times for many different industries, not just home inspections, to where I talked about AI in marketing and how to leverage AI in all of your different marketing and sales strategies. So, what I can do, actually, for you, Preston, I'll send you. I have a cheat sheet for home inspectors. I'll send that PDF over so you can give it out
Okay,
to
cool.
anybody that is listening to this particular podcast or whatever. Get in contact with Preston, get in contact with me. I have a full cheat sheet on how to do marketing with AI for specifically home inspectors. So I can give that out
Sweet.
so we don't
I
have to
appreciate
touch
it.
that too much. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then the third one, operations. Where does your operations come from? Your operations comes from many different areas. It could be you run operations out of your CRM as well as marketing, but it could be from your CRM, could be from your scheduling software as well, which we already previously kind of touched on. But there could be other applications and software you're using in order to help with your operations. I'm a huge fan of both Google and ClickUp. So my primary like tech stack right now is choosing softwares that are building fast, building effectively and efficiently for the future. There's a lot of software out there. Um, I'm not going to call people out in the home inspection world, but there's a lot of software out there in the home inspection world included to where they've built whatever they've built. And now they're kind of slow to implement new features. So when I choose in my tech stack, I'm looking for stuff that is actively growing and building features fast. I really like Google. And I'm a big component of Google Workspace. So you get the Gmail with it, you get the Google Docs with it, you get the Google Calendar with it, and all of those pieces have AI built within that. ClickUp is the second one. It's a little bit more of an advanced platform. So if you're not really tech savvy, I wouldn't probably recommend it for you. But running your operations for a home inspection company with ClickUp can be so huge because there's tons of AI
Okay.
built in. It is a
Okay.
project management software by default, but
Okay.
it has documents within it, task features within it. It has recordings built within it. It has a chat built within it. I would run my operations out of ClickUp if I was a home inspector. I would still schedule inspections maybe with another platform, or you can run your scheduling software out of ClickUp if you really wanted to. You'd have to
Really?
be a little bit creative, but you could do it. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um,
Because we've
it,
been looking
it,
for an alternative.
I know a lot of people are, and I'll say with ClickUp, you'd have to be tech savvy enough. Like you'd have to be at, my level, you'd have to be at Austin's level, you'd have to work with somebody that is, or, be pretty dangerous with like just connecting these different applications, but you can absolutely do it. It has all the features and capability to be able to do it. But right now, in terms of the best scheduling software for home inspectors, I'm a big fan of ISN. I haven't really leveraged too much of Spector. I know tons of people are fans of Spector. You got tons of haters on the Spector. You got tons of haters on ISN, right, on both sides.
Of
But
course. Ford and Chevy.
yeah, 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 exactly. But that's on the operation side. So throw it into those different buckets and then start thinking about that. But for the marketing side, I'm gonna give you guys all the cheat sheet. So anybody that wants it, just
Cool.
Preston has
Well,
it.
right at the end, I'll give you, well, you can say now too how to get in touch with you, like email or something. What's your email if people want to follow up with you? But I'll do it again at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, it's just Aaron, Aaron at wolfpackadvising.com. But everybody can find me on social media. I'm on every single social media. Send me a message or direct message if you have any questions. That's a lot of the easiest things for people. You can also go to wolfpackadvising.com, check out everything that we have and that we do. But follow me on social media. You can stay top of mind with me. See all the stuff I'm posting about because I'm talking about the AI stuff. I'm talking about marketing stuff, and I'm just sharing some funny, humorous things too along the way.
Yeah, there's a humor site, Home Inspection Humor, and
Yes, yes.
it sounds like the bar is pretty low for that, which is a good thing. I think as long as you don't get too political or something like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've probably had to kick somebody off.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I posted the other day how there was somebody in the group that didn't like that I didn't take down some posts. And I try to stay because I'm the only admin. There's no particular moderator in the Home Inspector Humor Facebook group. So there was somebody that wanted me to take down some posts, and I try to stay completely hands off. And if it crosses a definite line of just like, this is
threatening or
illegal or
something
this is
like.
like clearly like harassment, like people are bullying here and stuff like that. And this person was claiming they were feeling bullied or harassed, but like at the same time, like it's a humor group. You people are gonna be made fun of, and if you're gonna put yourself online, you got to be willing to take it a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm sorry, but like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
there
sit
was
here
some
and just
dude.
like
I mean,
babysit.
again, I don't want to say any names, but I mean, he was like going after people, like privately or something. That dude, I think there may be some more going on with that guy. Like maybe he needs some meds
Who's
or
that?
something.
Who was that?
Well, I'll tell you offline. I don't want to say any names because I don't want him coming after me.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
not that I just don't have time for drama. All right, let's
Yeah.
go to the lightning round. Real quick. We're almost gonna wind up here. iOS or Android?
iOS.
Smartwatch or old school nice wristwatch?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I'm gonna go with the smartwatch. I do have a smartwatch now, but to be honest, I miss like the old school watch.
Yeah, I do too. I have a bunch of Citizen watches. I'm wearing a
Yeah.
Garmin, but it tells me so much info. It's like, plus
Yeah.
it makes me exercise. you know,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I'm like behind on my steps, man. No internet for a month or no shower for a month.
Oh
That'd be a
man.
tough one for you.
That is a tough one because I'm OCD. I like being clean and like I actually ran out of not ran out of internet. The internet went down this morning before this podcast and I was
Oh
like
Lord.
I was so mad. It came back up. I'd probably go no shower.
Yeah. Back in the old days, like back, revolutionary day, you go back 300 or 200 years, people didn't take showers like they do. And they didn't know that hygiene was so important to like prevent diseases and stuff. But
Mm,
I can imagine no
it's
air conditioning, people not taking showers. I imagine, when they
pretty
were writing the
smelly.
Declaration of Independence or something, it smelled pretty good in there. But anyway, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, definitely not.
Tennis shoes or flip flops?
Tennis shoes.
If you had to have one of these, a mullet or a bowl cut?
A mullet. I had the
They're
bowl
coming
cut.
back, man.
Yeah.
If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
Ooh. Oh man, that's hard. I feel like you can get in a lot of trouble with both. I like history. I'm gonna say past if I have to be
Yeah.
quick.
I would say like I'm going to go to the past and be like Biff in that Back to the Future and bring me a sports almanac so I can bet on all the games. I'm just kidding. That was kind of the plot of that movie. I don't know if you saw Back to the Future, and then he was rich because he
Yeah.
knew all the outcomes. But anyway, being trapped in a room full of mosquitoes or a room full of clowns.
Room full of clowns. Mosquitoes definitely no go for me.
Gotcha. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
LeBron or Michael?
Michael.
Toilet paper. Over or under? Beard or mullet?
It would be over the
Yeah,
right
that's what
way.
everybody says.
Yeah,
That's
that's the right way.
90% of what people say. Except I hear people who have cats, they do it the other way because the cat will unwind it if it's
Yeah.
the beard way.
My
All
wife
right, well,
Jenna, she
go
puts
ahead.
it under and it pisses me off every time when she resets the toilet paper and it goes under. And I get so mad.
Roy Weir, he changes it on inspections. He'll film it
Does
if
he?
it's right. It's like, fixed it. I'm like, dude, you can't change that on people's houses. But
That's
anyway,
funny.
I don't know. He probably changed it back. He just did it for the video. Well,
Yeah.
two last questions and then we'll say goodbye. The first one is Wolfpack, and you guys, what all services? Basically, what didn't I ask you that I should have? What services do you guys provide home inspectors? I mean, we touched on it in certain places, but I'm sure there's some gaps there.
Yeah. So we're called what you would say is called a full channel digital marketing agency, meaning that we do everything, every kind of channel. So branding, web design, hosting, the SEO of the web design, advertising, social media management, email marketing stuff, CRM, the list goes on, like SMS stuff. So we do almost particularly everything. What we excel at, I would say there's a lot of people that onboard like with the core stuff. So design, hosting, advertising, SEO, social media management, CRM.
Okay, cool. And my very last question I always ask everybody, if let's say like your parents or something went into a brand new market or any home inspector, it doesn't have to be your parents. They have all their equipment, their computer, all that stuff, but they're opening in a new market, not close to their, not they can't. The marketing where they're here is not going to spread,
Hmm.
and they have a minimal budget of $5,000 to get themselves known. It's kind of an ROI question. If for $5,000, what are you doing to get yourself known? And again, computer equipment, all that's paid for. You don't have to go buy a computer or anything.
Is
What
it
what are you going to
5,000
do?
total?
Yeah. What would be the most efficient use of that money to get
Do
your
they have
name out?
do they have any reviews or no?
No. Just they're
Okay.
starting in a brand new market.
Starting in a
But
brand
they
new
have
market,
all
they don't
their services. They don't have to buy trucks. They don't have to buy any equipment or anything like that. Just
do they
straight
have a
up
website?
marketing. That's a good question. Nobody ever asked me that. They do, but let's say it's, for Melbourne, and let's say they're opening up in some fictional town. I don't want to say an
Hmm.
actual town and piss somebody off, but some fictional town in Florida, 70 miles south or north.
If it were me, I'd make sure I'd have a website. I'd have a Google business profile and I have a review request system in order to maximize my review rate to get as many reviews as possible. I'd make sure that my business is listed everywhere online. So Yelp, Google business profile, Bing Places, Facebook, Amazon Alexa has one, Yahoo Local, all those different directory sites. Push all my reviews to my Google business profile, make sure I have the website, and then I'd run Facebook social media broad reach ads. So I try to create a short form video that's super engaging and then target only real estate agents in my service area and to use them as like, hey, I'm this new inspector that's in the area. So now everybody for a cheap cost has at least heard of my particular name. And then I would leverage for free all the organic social media, and I'd spend tons of time in all of my organic social media because that's a really free way to just advertise. It just takes your time.
Awesome. Great answer. I have a quick follow-up. I know I lied. Here's my last question. Um, uh, I have a follow-up to that. All the voice, Alexa, Hey Google, all that, you said direct. Is there a way? What do we need to do to get on that radar?
Yeah. They have their own directory service to where you can list your business on it. Usually people are going to sign up with some type of system like, Wolfpack has its own, but other ones are like Bright Local or White Spark is a way to like list your business on all these different important directory sites. OpenAI or ChatGPT has its own one now too. So that's your first step. The next step after that, as long as you can be indexed by Google and like anybody else, you're going to be able to be leveraged and shown up on those particular platforms. It's just about optimizing it after that point, which is like a fully loaded question.
Oh yeah, that's a 2 hour
Yeah.
2 hour cliff notes just on that, I'm sure. Well, awesome. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we could talk on and on, but I know everybody's got stuff to do and you've got stuff to do. Again, how could people, I know you're on social media. What else? Like is it wolfpack.com and Facebook, the humor site? Tell us all your real internet properties that you can be found or people could join or follow or whatever it is the kids do these days.
Yeah. Two places, wolfpackadvising.com. You can go to Facebook. and go to the Home Inspector Humor Facebook group, which is really funny. Or you can just find my name, Aaron Shishilla, on any particular social media and send me a DM from there.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, I'm sure I'll catch you at the next conference, and we'll have to have a beer or seven.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. It's been great talking to you.